16 nations that together made up the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics from 1922 onwards formed a sizable communist bloc. During the Cold War, the US and the USSR competed to establish whose political and economic system was more successful and long-lasting. But how did the Soviet Union actually function? The Soviets' way of life, what aspects of this communism thing worked, and what aspects didn't? Let's see. 1. Hunger. In the early 1930s, the Soviet Union experienced one of the biggest shortages in history. Millions of peasants starved to death as a result of disastrous political decisions. The worst thing is that Stalin managed to mask the situation, even to the international press. 2. Rocket disaster. In 1960, the Soviets were preparing to launch the R-16 rocket. Faced with a fuel leak, instead of evacuating the area, project commanders recruited more people to try to contain the leak. An inevitable explosion happened and killed the entire project team. The real cause of the deaths was hidden until 1989. Like, subscribe, and share this content with some friend. Help us to spread free valuable knowledge. 3. Smallpox outbreak. In 1971, tests with a chemical weapon containing smallpox put hundreds of people in quarantine. The incident only became public in 2002. Other goals of the Soviet chemical laboratories were to create a weapon that simultaneously used anthrax and the bubonic plague. For labor rights. The Soviet Union in its early days provided a better quality of life for the working class. Labor rights as we know it today were influenced by the Soviet movement. This issue divides those who see no advantage in a communist regime. 5. Science. The Soviets were the first to launch a satellite out of orbit. Then they put a dog out of orbit, and later the first astronaut, although they denied any space experiments until 1990 in an attempt to keep their projects secret. 6. Astronaut dead. Unfortunately, the first astronaut to die was also theirs. Valentin Bondarenko died during training in 1961. He was charred during training in a pressure chamber. He was taken out of the chamber still alive, but as they took a while to open the chamber, he was badly burned and could not resist. The fact was hidden until 1986 to avoid negative publicity. 7. Inventions. In addition to being at the forefront of the space race, they perfected the first war helicopter and also invented xerography and the AK-47 rifle. They were also the first to have successful experiments with artificial organs. 8. The biggest plane. In 1966, a U.S. satellite identified what was reported to be larger than any U.S. aircraft. It was an unfinished plane abandoned by the Soviets. With engines located in front of the wings, this plane would fly tens of meters over land or water. What have you already learned about this stage of history? Do you think that another alternative is possible to mediate our economic relations, besides capitalism? Please make the internet cleaner and full of good knowledge. Share it with a friend and let us know what you think in the comments.